Hello, we have some nice Divrei Torah from it's called Sefer Lekach Tov. Let's take a look at some of it. So this here is Amunas Yisrael. This part of the Sefer is Amunas Yisrael from, hold on. This is Marena Rabbeinu Gedalia ben Marena Rabbeinu Avraham me Amsterdam Baal HaMechaber Be'er HaTorah ala Chumash. He's the one that wrote the Be'er HaTorah, the well of the Torah on the Chumash. Rabbi Gedalia ben Rabbi Avram me Amsterdam. So this is, let's take a look at this. This is not very nice. Okay, one moment. Ubihiyos Torasenu Hakadosha Belashon HaKodesh. Since our Torah, our holy Torah is in Lashon HaKodesh, in the holy tongue, that's Hebrew, Ivrit. Yosios Kedoshos, the letters are holy. Einon Kiosios Nachrios. They're not like the non-Jewish alphabets or the letters, B'Chalashanos Nachrios, and other different languages. Ki b'chol pa'am sheyazkir v'yagia os me osios hakodesh. Every time that you remember and you start talking in one of the, let's say, the letters of the holy letters of the Hebrew language, Mikol Shekain Mila, certainly every word, Omaima, or something, a saying that you learn, Omaima Lashon HaKodesh, or B'Prat B'Torah, or B'Tvila, or Mehevel Piv, Yesavo Tzuros, Kedushos, Misorer, Olamos, Elyonos, V'Yiskasher Gufo V'Nishmoso, B'Akadosh Baruch Hu, Al Yidei Kedushas HaTorah. Every time one remembers and says one word of the holy Hebrew, of the Lashon HaKodesh, certainly if a word or a saying, a holy saying of a Prat B'Torah, specifically in the Torah, B'Tefillah, or let's say a part of the davening, or the Tehillim. So then, from that person's breath, it are created lines, holy lines and connections, and it's and also it awakens the higher worlds, the higher spheres, and then his body and his or her body and the neshama are connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's HaShem, the Holy One, blessed be He. Al Yedei Kedushas HaTorah, through the Kedusha of the Torah, the holiness of the Torah. Lefi zeh, mi shemisorer livavo lihios dobek b'Hashem. So therefore, somebody that is really awakening his heart to be attached to Hashem, uvetaraso lo yanhig atzmo kimo sheha'olam noagin, and in Hashem's Torah, so one should not conduct oneself the same way that the whole world or many of the people conduct themselves. Sheshomein shiur mehamalamed shebo atzlam, they listen to a shir of a malamed, of a teacher that comes to them. And that's sufficient for them. Through this way, they can leave the world, God forbid, below Torah or below Chachma or below the zechus Hashem. They can leave the world without Chachma, without wisdom, without Torah, without wisdom, and without attachment to Hashem. Kizeh pito yayetzahara. God forbid. This is So one of the enticements of the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, hamefate la'adam lomer shehu yotze bezeh. In other words, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, says that this is a sufficient way to learn Torah. Once in a while, you hear a rabbi say some divrei Torah, and you listen to it, and very good, very nice. No, one has to. That's not enough. One has to learn on one's own, as much as one can. One has to do one's own striving. When you hear the rabbi, that should give one inspiration to continue on one's own, or with a chavrusa, with a partner in learning. Uv'yemes haneshama eina nehenes elo mima sheha'adam omel v'yoga b'Torah. In truth, the neshama, the soul of a eino nehenes, does not have any hana, does not have any benefit. Elam imasha ha'adam omel, only from what a person works, the yoga, and he toils, the Torah, in the Torah, v'simcha v'samecha leish b'ma'ane piv, v'simcha leish b'ma'ane piv, and for what he says with his mouth, he should utter the words with his mouth also. In other words, when one is learning, one should say the words too, not only just read it. Rabbi Victor Miller Zatzal, he used to he gave a shir in Daf Yomi, or the shirim in Gemara, and then he used to say after every paragraph or that he said, okay, now you say it yourself, say it inside, whatever was said. And he said, in this way you can say that you said the whole Gemara, you said the whole Talmud, you learned it all. In other words, one should try to say it also. Uv'yemes, in the truth, kol ha'shemuos she'omer lo ha'malamed yoter tov yochol ladas osam misifrei lashon Ashkenaz ki b'yemes bizmanenu mamash kol ha'torah b'lashon Ashkenaz b'chol ha'dinim. Oh, and he's saying also that if it's hard for one, if it's hard for whoever to go and learn it in the Hebrew, the shemuos can be said. The things that the divrei Torah can be learned in the Belashon Ashkenaz, in either the German, at that point it must have been German he was saying, or even he might be saying English also. It might be English. Ki b'emes, because in truth, bizmanenu, in our time, mamash kol Torah Belashon Ashkenaz b'chol hadinim. All of the Torah is translated into the German language, and also, of course, into the English. There's a lot of divrei Torah now in English that one can have benefit from and one can learn. So he's talking about the English also. Ela hamalamed sherotze lezakos talmido l'shem shemayim, a malamed, a teacher that wants to help his talmud out, help his students out, l'shem shemayim, for the sake of heaven, l'shem shemayim, afapi shenotel mamon mimeno, even though he's taking money from him, in other words, he's being paid for being a malamed, for being a teacher. Tzarich yargil lihios omel v'yoga lahasig b'limudo. He has to accustom himself to be working, and v'yoga, and toiling, lahasig b'limudo, to understand with his learning, shehei tofos b'yodo. It should be, he should have a complete grasp on it. Mashahu lomed, what he's teaching to other people. In other words, he has to be a master of whatever he's teaching to his students. Shelo tasigehu busha v'chlim al yom hadin. In other words, he should be very happy in the b'yom hadin, the time of judgment, that he did his best to teach his students, his talmidim, the Torah. Asher yishalu lo klum osakta b'Torah. And when they asked him and the students, after 120 years, did you Were you osek b'Torah? Were you toiling in the Torah? Emor ma shalamadata sheyochal omar. You have to say. One has to be able to say what one learned. So, in other words, one has to be a master of learning of the subject that he is teaching, of the subject of the Torah that one is teaching, and to be able to really give it over to one's student also, that is learning the Torah, and the student himself will start learning the Torah of HaShem, and things should be good. Okay, so Zait Matzliach. This here is from the Sefer Lekach Tov, and this is the Amud HaTorah, the pillar of Torah. Thank you very much. Kol Tov.